blush, highlighter, hush, see what you made me do. Face, mascara, erase. I wanna look good for you. I always comb my hair. Pink, blue, purple. I wanna make it good for you. If I wear a dress, he will never call. So I wear much less. I guess I'll wear my camisole. If I wear a dress, he will never call. So I wear much less. I guess I'll wear my camisole. Make up. Make up. Make up. Make up.
Next week on the Drive-In Asylum late movie, yes, we are watching Bob Clark's Death Dream, a classic, terrifying film from 1974. And that'll be our grand feature for the evening.
Yes. Welcome back, everybody. So, maybe people didn't like Andy Sidaris movies. That's okay. We got to experience some, everything out there. But
I loved it. I thought it was.
You loved it, and I told Bill there wouldn't be any guys in this for him, and I lied. There was a whole sumo scene, and Andy himself. Yeah.
I can imagine Joe Bob Briggs had a field day with us when it ran on the movie channel with his kung fu references. There's gun fu, kung fu, rocket fu, snake fu, blow
Frisbee
up doll fu, frisbee fu.
My favorite part of this movie is that the snake takes a picture on the Polaroid, and it just shows up, and the snake's like in the picture, like he posed for that picture.
Could you imagine getting that kind of shot from a Polaroid?
Yeah, amazing. Like, and it was crystal clear too. There's a lot of the folks in this did other stuff. Jade, who's one of the two male agents. He's probably best known. He's in Rambo 3. He's the stick fighter that fights Sylvester Stallone in that movie, if you are as big a fan of that as me. Quan Hai Lim, who is listed as one of the special guest stars. He's probably best known for being he's in Uncommon Valor, and he was Lieutenant Yoshi Tanaka for 26 episodes of Magnum PI and the crossover to Murder, She Wrote, if you saw that. So he's pretty well known. Hope Marie Carlton, who is Taryn, one of our many agents in this. She's in a ton of stuff, actually. She's got some really good credits. This is her first movie. She was in the A-Team before this, but she's also in Slaughterhouse Rock, Because the Trigger, which is a sequel to this. She plays the pinup girl who is on the wall and comes to life, and Freddy comes into her poster in Nightmare 4. Then she's also in Savage Beach, which is another sequel to this. Side Out, which is a movie about volleyball. Goalies Go to College, and Slumber Party Massacre 3. So, and The Stand miniseries. So she did a fair amount of stuff. And then finally, the last person I'd like to bring up is the other agent, Cody, was played by Ron Moss. If anyone ever watched The Bold and the Beautiful, he's about in 4,500 episodes of The Bold and the Beautiful. So he had quite the soap career after this. He's still acting today. He's just in a bunch of stuff this year. So he's getting work. So yeah, and if you like the two main girls in this, they're the characters that actually continue into the other films in this series and do things. But how about that snake? Really, the snake is who we're here to talk about, because when that snake pops out of the toilet, one, amazing. Two, the snake knows what he's in, what kind of movie he's in, and he gets Donna's chest wet. How, right? And as Bill said, right after a scene that is Andy Sidaris doing Halloween while Rodrigo Obregon's trying to break into the closet, she shoots him with a spear gun. He gets shot with a spear gun. He gets shot multiple times, and then a snake bites his face. That's a way to take a bad guy out of him.
He's somehow still moving after all that abuse.
Yeah, he's just like, why?
He's walking around with an arrow in his shoulder, you know. He's still coming.
You have to say, like, the bad guys in this movie get so much abuse. They get shot with rocket launchers. They get killed with frisbees. One gets thrown out a window at the end of it.
Can we talk about this rocket launcher obsession that this movie had? How is it that they blew the head off of a snake? Which, I mean, admittedly, it was a pretty big snake, but a rocket launcher to the head? That's a little bit...
Chris and I were discussing it. The backblast from that rocket launcher would knock them through one of those walls.
And would knock out the window behind them, you know?
Yeah, and like nobody in that little tiki shack that they're in, like it didn't shake the entire building when that rocket launcher went off. Also, he completely did Demons and came in on that motorcycle. Like he's like, hey, I saw this in Demons. It was pretty cool in that movie. Did he need to knock through her door with the motorcycle? He could have just opened the door. I mean, also, where did that smoke come from? That neon and smoke come through when he came.
I think when the Cramps wrote Bikini Girls with Machine Guns, this is the movie they were talking about.
Yeah, and how about some of that choice dialogue, guys? I already said in the other segment my favorite line, which was, if bird shit were brains, your cages would be empty.
I did see someone, I think Jeff mentioned the one where he's like, yeah, just when you thought it's safe to take a pee.
Right.
I also like that there's a scene of the snake crawling across her makeup and knocking all her makeup off the shelf.
Yeah, knocking all the nail polish over.
Yeah, he's like, that snake's an asshole.
Everybody in this movie looks so impossibly beautiful. There's that one scene where they show up at the beach. It's like one of those lovers montages. I think we got like 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
Where they were running down to the beach, and the first thing she does, of course, is take off her top. And they're rolling around on the beach, and then like you see them, and it's later the same day, they're still on the beach. Her makeup's perfect, her hair's perfect. Like,
when they show up to take out the old guy at the end, everybody's outfits are incredible. Like, they're very much like halter tops with like full jackets, dynasty style jackets over top of them. Also, Bill, I know your favorite outfit in this movie was that one, the blue pants and that top that stopped like right here, that like barely covered her breasts.
It was like a dust ruffle. That's all it was.
Yeah, poof Valance from your curtains.
Mhm.
And the scene does nothing to further the plot. She
Mm-mm.
walks into the room, takes her dress off, puts the new top on, leaves.
There were so many boobs in this movie, so I don't know if Joe Bob's count would have been accurate or not, because I think he would have lost
Bill said
count
that this
after
movie was like a James Bond ripoff, but also a Chesty Morgan movie, which is probably the best.
Yeah, this is like the
of it.
Chesty Morgan Double Agent 73 and an actual spy caper with a big budget. Somewhere in between those two things is this movie, Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Also, this movies like this and Cinemax ones are why I had no idea what sex was like. I thought you just like a girl sat between your knees, and that's what was having sex was. I had no idea, you know. Or I saw that Jeff said mostly third base sex positions. Yeah, but not even. It's like barely out of first base positions in this. But you know, imagine seeing this through a 15-year-old horned up Sam's eyes, and you're like, oh yeah, this movie.
And as we were talking during the break, some of the least erotic sex scenes you've seen in movies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just like, I don't know what they're doing.
It was kind of weird.
It's very Showgirls in the
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely Showgirls.
Especially with the amount of boobs on screen and the reason that the boobs are there in the movie. Like it was very Showgirls. I agree.
Well, Bill, we want to talk about the sumo wrestling scene too.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that, please?
Yeah, why is that in there?
Why is there a press conference with football players?
Right,
You know?
exactly. They've got interesting drink cocktails, you know, just like you guys do.
Oh yeah, they got them wasted on those cocktails, and then they blew that guy's news segment. Thank God the satellite went down.
Yeah.
That could
You
have
were
been
like,
very
can
sticky.
we get back to the sumo scene? You were like, it wasn't in here long enough.
They did get a little bit more fighting in after they took a break to be interviewed by that woman, and then they went back to fighting. They were really into it.
Yeah, and you got to hand it to Andy Sidaris as a director. I mean, he's like Kubrick with his parallel plots and his cross-cutting. I mean, they've got surveillance, a girl getting tied up and beaten with a nunchuck, putting weapons together, a sex scene. I mean,
they were so mean to her.
Yeah, they were, weren't they?
Also, at the end, like they've set up the old guys like henchman as like the toughest guy in the movie, and they just beat him down with nunchucks. It's like a nothing fight. They're both the two heroes are just obliterating him. I guess are they heroes? They keep all the diamonds.
This is a great comment.
Yeah, you know what? I think I know the exact part.
Oh,
this feels like the movie when Nomi leaves Las Vegas and goes to Hollywood. This feels like the movie that she would be in.
Mm-hmm.
But it came first.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And I like the obsession with weaponry, though, and stuff blowing up. Because remember, there's blow-up doll foo here, too.
Yeah.
Which that scene is great for no reason other than it's just out of left field and crazy.
Why is there a skateboarder doing a handstand on a skateboard?
I don't know. Why does he have a blow-up doll that he takes with him on his skateboard so that the hero can pull out the big freaking gun and blast them up in the air, gore all over the place, and then the doll gets destroyed? Waste of a good doll, you know?
To answer Steve's question, I really think Sidaris was so used to getting
football
action in frame from football and concentrating on the ball and being tight in the shots that it really carries over, because this is only the third movie in this sequence. It's like probably the fifth narrative movie he did. And they're still very much like this. They're very all medium shots. They're in their own universe of movies. It's amazing that he made 12 of them. And then 2 other ones outside it. I would say if you see Stacy or Seven feels like a different movie. It feels like a real movie. Not that this isn't a real movie, but this is. I was waiting. I'm gonna do a drinking game of whenever Vince mentions Kenny and Company and just get obliterated every time he mentions it.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Vince is obsessed with Kenny and Company.
Yeah, I was thinking about it today when I was driving to wrestling. I said, I wonder if Vince will mention Kenny and Company.
All hail Don Coscarelli, right?
I feel like that's when I should have a bird come from the ceiling like Groucho Marx. Or the secret word.
The duck comes down and, gives the secret word.
This movie's. Oh, there is a hot tub scene, and even Donna says we need to get in the jacuzzi. That's where I do my best thinking.
Yeah.
Is it okay?
And they're opening and looking at diamonds. I was concerned the diamonds were going to get stuck in the filtration system of the jacuzzi because they were going to drop
how
them.
would you find them in the water?
I don't know, but they felt it was. What did she say? This is where I do my best thinking in the jacuzzi. Yeah. Wow.
I mean, I don't have a jacuzzi. Maybe I would do better thinking in it.
Maybe I would too.
Where I would do episodes from.
It's totally
jacuzzi.
Overrated.
Is it?
A jacuzzi? Yeah. I mean, I never had one personally, but I've known people that had them, and it always ends up being abandoned because they just can't deal with keeping up with it. It takes like a lot of work.
It's the kind of thing that, like, if you don't have one and you can just get in one, it's great, but then you got to be in other people's pee water. So it's like, is it really worth?
You don't know how clean it is.
Yeah. Like in a hotel, I'm like, I'm never getting in the jacuzzi. Like, I don't care how much chlorine you put in it. Just
there was a gag on the live action version of Cowboy Bebop, which wasn't very good. That was on, but the heroine playing Faye Valentine said, "You got to take a shower, then take a bath, and then take a shower again. It's life changing. Shower, bath, shower. Because after the bath, you don't want to be like lying in that filthy, dirty water. So you got to take a shower. That's what you got to do." So,
yucko.
Yeah,
there you have it.
Yeah,
I used to get in the jacuzzi at the gym too, which horrifies me now.
Knowing what we know now. Every time we go to the pool store to get stuff for our pool, because the pool's not that hard to take care of, but
no,
I always look at the jacuzzi and I'm like, that would be kind of nice to have, and then I think, no, it's not. I also want a tank because I want to live altered states, and I want to have a floating tank so I could just go downstairs and just
sensory deprivation, right?
Yeah, maybe I'll just take shots instead, but that's another dream.
A friend of mine, actually, when I was in school, they had one open in Minneapolis many years ago, and he told me that he went in it, but the water was dirty. They didn't really clean it too much.
Yeah. There used to be one in Shadyside that you could go to and rent for the hour, and I was always like, how they would have to get in there and no neat freak per se, but they would need to get in there and scrub that tub for me. I don't, especially if you're laying in there. Then they drop the mushrooms in, like altered states. Like, no, that's cool.
Poor Pamela Susan Shoop. She got an ear infection from the water in the hot tub in Halloween too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He said the water was filthy. It gave her an ear infection.
Oh.
And it was cold too. Like there was no heat. I know that scene is all misty, but the mist was fake because it was freezing cold water.
I really think I agree with there's some great Nora said some great 80s hair. There's some great hair in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even the guys have some really nice feathered dues.
Mm-hmm.
The women were
also
really
like
beautiful. The guys were just sort of like
never had abs in my life. I've never been confident enough to just wear high-waisted pants as a guy. Like he's wearing Jade is wearing pajama pants at one point, and then like no shirt, and then just like a collared shirt up like this, and his chest is all taped up. Amazing. What were you gonna say, Bill?
I don't remember. I got distracted. I looked at Mike's comment about the jacuzzi at his gym. You never know, Mike Justice. You just never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Nora. I keep meaning to ask everybody to please like the video. And if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. I don't care if you actually watch any of our shit. Just give us a subscription, please. So we can increase the numbers on our page. It's so competitive. Like there's like
Bill, you want to catch up. You want to catch up to the Newcastle After Dark boys.
There's no way we could catch Newcastle.
They've got like 10,000 subscribers, don't they?
They have almost 100,000 subscribers.
Oh, 100,000.
They're up to like 85,000 subscribers or something.
They have more subscribers than the town of Newcastle. I think there's only like 20,000 people in Newcastle with that.
Yeah.
So yeah. I gotta tell you though, there was a Newcastle. I have to ask the guys next time they're on. There was a Newcastle March Madness of restaurants. If you are in any way interested in hot dogs or chili, Newcastle has more hot dog restaurants per capita than anywhere, probably in the world. It's really astounding. I agree with Daryl. How could that water be dirty? Like there's nobody in there other than Lori and a drunk doctor.
Yeah, but look at it
but-
this way. Like, if they were screwing in there,
Yeah.
how many other times had they done that?
I get the idea that Bud was screwing all the time in there. This is
Yeah.
not Bud only.
Or at least, going in there solo and leaving a little Bud behind.
Yeah. I just don't like the whole idea of hot tubs is too much now. Even though, like, would it have benefits? It would be relaxing. But then, like, I don't know. That's why I don't take baths. And you gotta clean the fucking bath when you're done. Take showers. I don't know. Anytime I see people taking a luxurious bath in a movie, I'm like, God, that seems like so much work. Like Calgon, I don't.
Oh, I love taking a bath.
Really? I can't think of the last bath I've had.
I love taking a bubble bath.
Wow.
The only thing is like there's never enough hot water for a bath because once you're in there, it starts to feel cold, and you have to turn the hot water on, and there's no
keep
more left.
refilling it, right?
Then it gets even worse because now you're letting cold water into the already tepid bath water.
See, it goes right back to what I was saying. It's too much.
Mm-hmm. It is a lot of work. I agree.
Yeah.
I always notice too, like there's a lot of girls in my social media feed just post pictures in the bath. Like you've been in there like 3 hours, like taking these pictures. Like you're not cold? You're not like pruny? I don't know.
They have a big hot water tank.
Maybe they do. Maybe they bought it just for that because they like baths.
You could have an inline water heater.
I've seen enough too many movies, as we talked about my future letterbox list of things thrown into a bath in a movie. I've seen too many of those to take a bath. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, at that point, Cubby will come in with a radio and throw it into the.
Yeah, wait a minute. The only movie I can think of where someone got something thrown into a bathtub is Don't Go to Sleep, that TV movie.
Elves. The mom gets, one of the elves throws a radio into the bathtub in it.
Oh my God, it's all coming back to me now. Elves.
Doesn't Kathleen Turner and Serial Mom throw something into a bathtub?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think so. She drops an air conditioner on somebody.
Oh, that's right. She drops the air conditioner, right.
There's quite. I had a list of quite a few. I got to go actually do this list.
The Haunting of Julia.
Yeah.
Something falls into the bathtub and kills somebody in that movie.
Mhm.
Shriek of the Mutilated. Oh, that's a good call. Vince.
Oh, that's a really good one. Yeah, absolutely.
Man, I should share my screen and we'll make this list in real time. Won't that be exciting?
There was Patrick.
Yeah.
There's that brief
Seeds
scene.
too. Mike Justice brought up Seeds. That happens too. A radio gets thrown in the tub in that.
Do you guys remember in Patrick when it was in Patrick?
Yeah.
Patrick, one spit for yes, two spits for no, right?
Yeah.
How about Patrick?
I always
Lives?
think of Patrick. I feel like Patrick Still Lives way more than Patrick.
Yeah, it's so much better than Patrick.
That one is so sleazy.
Yeah,
great.
It's
A
wonderful.
noted horror writer made fun of Patrick Still Lives, and I will never forgive said person. Bill. You said that to me, and I was like, "That motherfucker!" Like Patrick Still Lives is so good. Like, how
Who
dare
would
you?
say such a thing?
I don't know. I don't want to name names. And
What monster could have said
what
this?
monster could have said this? He's like, "Can you believe how bad that movie is? It's so bad." And I'm like, "Is it? Do I really have no taste?" Yes, that is true. I do have no taste.
Well, the original Patrick was directed by a DIA favorite, Richard Franklin.
I love Richard Franklin, though. Yeah,
I do too. He studied with Hitchcock, for God's sake. And, he did so many decent movies. Again, a guy who died way too young.
Yeah.
I really love Psycho too.
Talk about a movie where my expectations were so low. I thought this is going to be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You're going to shit on a classic. And I went in and I'm like, wow, this is really good. I mean, reverence, fan service, early fan service, before people were doing fan service in movies.
Yeah.
Franklin had that. He had Road Games, terrific Cloak and Dagger. Great director.
I love Cloak and Dagger.
Dabney Coleman's excellent in Cloak and Dagger, but then again, he's always excellent in movies.
Yeah.
You know?
The best thing about it is the end of the movie where it's kind of teased that, like, I know, like, Jack Flag doesn't exist, or Jack Flag, doesn't exist, but like, his dad is that same kind of hero at the end. Like, it's such a beautiful ending to that movie. Like, I'm such a fan of that movie. That's one of the first movies I remember renting and, like, just like being super into it.
Yeah, Franklin was really good. Australia at that time put out some good directors.
Oh yeah,
Peter Weir, The Last Wave, is a favorite of mine.
Oh yeah.
Fred Skepsey, The Chant of Jimmy Blacksmith.
I love that movie. Yeah, it's a video nasty, but it doesn't really deserve it.
No, well, he kills people with a hatchet, and I think that's probably why it was a video nasty. It's violent,
it's violent, but it like has like a good cause for violence.
Definitely.
It's not like
definitely
just like a slasher. It's like an actual, like, there's like a story behind it. But
yeah, so many good movies. Gillian Armstrong. I'm sorry, Gillian Armstrong did some movies. A lot of good Australian directors. Oh, George Miller. How could we forget the great George Miller? What is he like in his 80s, and he's still making fantastic movies?
Oh yeah, and also what a weird like between all the Mad Max movies, Babe. He's one of the few people that understood what the Twilight Zone, the movie, was supposed to be, and does a great job within it. He's one of my favorite directors. Like, he's in Rat Race. Like, he just like crazy stuff. Not Rat Race. What's the other? Chicken Run. That's the other one he did. Chicken Run, and he's just like
Chicken Run.
Yeah, just really great. And there's a lot of I'm planning an Australian week on the site at some point. If I ever get through all these New World movies, I'm like kind of obsessed with New World lately.
Well, one of my favorite Australian movies is actually streaming all over the place. Next of Kin, not the one with Patrick Swayze.
Love it.
It's kind of like the Australian Suspiria, isn't it?
Have you seen it yet, Bill?
No.
Oh,
you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
It's very slow moving but good, and the end of it is wild. And it's an accident ending. They shot it. They lost the special effect they were going for, and the shot that replaces it's better than the special effect would have been.
Yeah, the cameraman basically got it somehow. I don't know how, but
yeah,
that's a favorite of Quentin Tarantino. I half expect that one to show up on his video archives.
Wait, what movie are you talking about again?
Next of Kin.
Next of Kin, yeah.
Yeah, it's from what, Sam, about 1982 maybe?
Yeah. It's Severin put it out too. And it's just really good. It kind of fits in like the Hearse, but better. Like that kind of world of movies. Funeral Home, the Hearse. So
yeah, instead of a dance school in Freiburg, we have an old age home in somewhere in Australia.
Yeah.
and it really is. It's like Suspiria. It has a great, weird, otherworldly kind of feel to it. A lot of color. Very strange.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, I think you'll dig it, Bill. We'll have to play that as well.
Mike Justice says
Mike's right. They showed it.
Yeah, they did show it. Yeah. And it's a slow burn, as I recall. It's typical. The Joe Bob fans were bitching because they always bitch about stuff that,
The Severin also put out the Not From Hollywood and the Exploitation Trailer Explosion, which is really great. Where you get a lot of really great trailers that like get you excited about Australian movies.
That Mark Hartley documentary, about exploitation films. It's great. I mean, Hartley did the Canon one too. And he's good at this. This is like his little niche in the world where he takes, a certain small subgenre of the movies that we all love around here, and he does a bang-up job on the documentary. Because there were so many good things in the Australian.
I love Dead End Drive-In's another one that I really like.
Dead End Drive-In's really good. That's Brian Trenchard Smith.
I love Brian Trenchard Smith. Yeah.
Yeah. My other favorite is, I forget, I think it was Tarantino in that movie called Russell Mulcahy like the poor man's Ridley Scott.
Yeah.
Because of like Razorback, and because Russell Mulcahy is actually a good director, but he never got the
crazy, though,
good scripts.
Yeah, Razorback's crazy because it's like shot like a music video, and it's like a wild gore movie. Like there's scenes in it of just fog and neon. You're like, what are we doing here?
Blue. It's a lot of blue color, and the bore is like huge. Yeah, you're right, because Mulcahy did a whole mess of music videos. But
he came from doing the Duran Duran videos.
Yeah, that's the first thing that comes. And Bonnie Tyler, Total Eclipse of the Heart.
Right. But those are good documentaries for folks who have not seen them, because you will learn a lot of stuff about Aussie cinema and the Cannon one that he did. I have never seen Lady Stay Dead. That's the only one, I think, in that documentary that I have not seen.
It's got a crazy kill in an aquarium in it. It's kind of good. I dig it. I think it said in the documentary, it was tremendously criticized by the Aussie press when it came out, because it's just sleazy as hell. It's very
the guy
sleazy,
the guy that was the Australian producer for a lot of those films was a guy by the name of, I think his name is Anthony Genone or Genone.
Yeah.
And he produced that one, and I think he produced Next of Kin too. But he was like the Roger Corman of Sydney or something.
Death Warmed Up's really good too. It's like
Death Warmed Up is good, and well, obviously we got great films from Australia and New Zealand much later.
Vince mentioned Thirst, which I love.
Thirst is excellent. Yeah, Thirst is really good.
It's a very sci-fi vampire movie, which there aren't a ton of. Like it attempts to make explanations for it.
Yeah. Like Life Force.
Yeah.
Like Life Force. Well, yeah, and then you got Peter Jackson coming out of that, Kiwi kind of cinema.
I just watched another movie with Matilda May in it from Life Force, and I can't remember what it was. And I was watching it, I'm like, who is that? I'm like, oh my God, that's Matilda May. It blew me. Oh, The Jackal, the movie with Bruce Willis in it.
Oh, the remake with Richard Gere.
Yeah.
That movie really I don't like, because, and here's the reason. The original, directed by who directed that? Anyway, the original is a perfect film in so many ways, because it's almost a training film on how to be a political assassin. How to smuggle a gun in through the tailpipe of a car across borders, and set your scope up, and build your weapon and all that. And it's a phenomenal movie. That movie was directed by, I have to look this up because that's going to drive me crazy.
I saw the sequel. The Mill Creek just put the sequel out on one of their.
Yeah, the remake. Oh, it's Fred Zinnemann, the director of the original.
They weren't even allowed to put they had to say it was inspired by the script from that movie. They couldn't even say that it was a remake because so many people complained.
But that movie is fantastic for anybody who wants to see a totally riveting movie. As I said, it's almost a step-by-step playbook of how, if you want to commit a political assassination, you go about doing it.
Yeah, I just don't. That box set that they put out, it's like epic action films. The only good movie on it is The Sixth Day, the Arnold movie. It also has the horrible Call the Conqueror that with Kevin Sorbo, what a horrifyingly bad movie.
That's a bad movie. And what else is on that?
King Conan too, and Schwarzenegger dropped out. It's basically a Conan movie. It has nothing to do with Call. It's bad. But anywho, I mentioned I was going to talk to Bill about two other movies I watched this week. Consecration, which AC and I talked about a little bit in between. It's a nun movie of a woman finds out that her brother was involved in this convent. He was a priest. He may have been a killer. He may have been possessed. She goes to find out what happened with it, and it should be better than it is. I was really upset because I wanted to like it, especially because the cover looks very much like Alucarda. It has like all these nuns covered in blood with their faces covered on the cover. I was like, man, this could be really good. And I really like the director. AC and I talked about Christopher Smith, who did Triangle, which is really good, and Creep. Yeah.
Yeah, as I was telling the guys during the break, I saw Christopher Smith. He introduced Creep at the Toronto International Film Festival way back in the day, and he was high as a kite, but he was very entertaining. He was on
Wait,
coke or something.
is this the Creep that is about the guy who lives in the subway tunnels?
Yes, with Franca Potente from Run Lola Run as the
Yes, I
heroine.
like that
She
one.
gets locked in. You know, they lock the tubes down, and
Anything with
she's
Franca Potente is okay with me.
Run
totally
Lola Run
agree,
is
Bill.
one of the greatest movies ever.
Oh, it is. It's phenomenal. So he did that, and I like Triangle too, Sam. Like as you said, I think that's excellent. His other
have you seen
stuff,
Triangle?
Triangle is great. His other stuff, not so much. Severance is okay. I know a lot of critics liked it, and Black Death with Sean Bean, you know, dying in yet another role. It's okay. And then he actually did a kids movie. I forget
Oh, yeah,
the name.
that's right.
It's a Christmas movie. But Smith is one of those guys that, you know, he does genre stuff, and I'm disappointed to hear the Consecration.
You might like it better than I. It looks. He picks a great DPs. He has great cameramen. It looks gorgeous.
Oh, his stuff always looked good. You know, speaking of British guys that, you know, were he's a worse. Chris Smith is not a flash in the pan. Neil Marshall. I'm gonna, you know, take some shots here, but I think Neil Marshall anymore is a complete and total tool. And I know Sam, you liked his newest one. That was, what was it? She was his girlfriend. Charlotte Kirk was the pilot. And what did she run into? Zombies or something.
Oh yeah.
What's the name of that thing? You reviewed it on the site.
I've watched too many movies. The other one I was going to bring up is The Devil Conspiracy, which, holy shit, this movie. I saw the poster for it. It only played 2 days in theaters. It was one of those Fathom event movies. Now it's out. It's streaming now. It's this movie. I have not seen a movie that looks like this since the 90s of early CGI. It looks like a PlayStation 2 game, and I mean that in the best way possible. This movie is about a company that figures out how to take the DNA of famous people and remake them and sell them to people. Why? Okay. Anyway, they are created by the devil, Lucifer, who has been enslaved in hell forever, and you know, since the fall of the angels. And they're going to use the DNA of the Shroud of Turin to put Jesus in a woman's body to make the Antichrist. And the Archangel Michael comes to stop them. Man, this movie is wild. Like, I really liked it. It's very like Ultraviolet or Priest, and like kind of movies like that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s. But it also has the 2 absolute dumbest music cues I've ever seen in a movie, Bill. Right when the devil comes to Earth, he comes out the devil inside by NXS while he's possessing someone. And then Send Me an Angel plays as Michael the Archangel comes. This is not selling the movie, but trust me, there's Andy. But I really like it. It's super dumb.
Okay.
Andy rarely gives us some FaceTime.
We'll look for it.
So, here are some ads that have been on the Groovy Doom Facebook page this week. I thought we could look at these fantastic examples. Hellbound, Hellraiser 2.
Oh, yeah.
I like that better than the first one.
Better than the first one?
First one. I really like it.
I really like this one better than Hellraiser.
I like it. I like it a lot, but better than the first one. I don't know if I'd go that far.
Yeah.
I really liked 2 a lot. I'm close on that, AC.
The first one has a much better story. Like there's
but the second one is better directed and has a little bit more money in it, I think. The production design's definitely a lot better in the second one.
So anyway, there's that. And this is the jewel this week so far. This alternate ad campaign for John Carpenter's They Live.
Oh, cool.
I love that movie. I saw it day one in the theater, and I mean, it's funny. I was talking to Jason Trost, who directed the FP movies. I don't know if you guys have ever seen them. They're ridiculous post-apocalyptic movies about Dance Dance Revolution. They're very strange. And he and I were talking about Carpenter, and he said that he went back and watched Ghost of Mars, and he said, you know, I hated it when it came out, and now that I've directed like 5 or 6 movies, I'm like, wow, like John Carpenter's doing exactly what he wants. And I kind of really like it that he's doing that in these movies, even the later ones that you don't really consider. So, but I felt with like They Live, he's working on the smallest of budgets and the biggest of ideas, and it's just great. Like there's so much.
He's killing it too. Oh man,
the scene at the end when the satellite gets knocked down and the girl's riding the guy and he goes, "What's wrong, baby?" is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Like the entire theater just went nuts during that scene. Like I saw it with a really raucous crowd, which is probably why I still love it. And also Piper's perfect in it. It's got so much.
The best hand-to-hand fight ever in a movie.
Yeah.
And the movie has actually entered like pop culture fame because they did a shot-by-shot reconstruction of that on South Park. You know, the fight that he has with Keith David, Roddy Piper. And it starts with Cartman like going into a supermarket, and he gets on the PA and says, "And in our parking lot today, we feature Cripple Fight." Because he had Timmy.
Keith David's great in that. And when they made the game Saints Row 4, Piper and Keith David were two of the characters in the game. And you could call them for backup, and if they came at the same time, they would talk. He's like, "Do you remember that time we fought?" And like, it's really funny that they would just like communicate for a couple seconds. But yeah, I love this movie. Oh man, I've never seen The Fly 2. I really should check that out.
Oh wow, Sam.
Me either. I mean, I don't want Cronenberg's image spoiled. By the way, he turned 80 this week, and you know, here's a guy who's 80 who's still making great movies.
I like The Fly too. I mean, it's obviously it's not as good as The Fly. Okay, well, once you get past that, it's pretty fun.
I love, as a weakness, but I love sequels to movies that are very well considered and are not thought of sequels for some reason. It makes me happy.
Lots of great special effects in The Fly too. I remember. They go even further over the top than the special effects in The Fly, of course. And that's exactly what we wanted.
Well, it's directed by Chris Wallace, who's a special effects guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had an early film that I reviewed in Driving Asylum, Galaxina. He did the alien effects. Yeah. Wallace.
Oh. Is this movie ever coming out on Blu-ray?
Oh, man. Peter Jackson, here we go.
We talked about doing a Peter Jackson thing. Criterion was one talked about. I would love to see these movies come out. This movie is so much fun.
This one, and you need Meet the Feebles and Brain Damage. Is it Brain Damage? Brain Dead.
Brain Dead, yeah.
Brain Dead, yeah. His horror films are, I think, a lot better than his mainstream stuff. I know that sounds like heresy here, but this stuff is excellent for anybody who's not seen it.
Yeah. Seriously, there's so much great stuff in them. And so much gore. I like Beautiful Creatures a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
But yeah, his King Kong is very lacking. I just am not into Tolkien, so I would rather he make these junky gore-filled movies. But I also know that people have to make money, so
yeah.
Oh, the Lord of the Rings movies were just excruciating for me. I did not like it at all.
What's the Kevin Smith? What movie did he have? In I think it was Clerks 2, where it's like walking, volcano drop ring.
That movie had so much walking, even the fucking trees walked around.
Yeah, but these are great, and I like Meet the Feebles the best actually, because that's like the demented puppet show, the demented Muppet movie. It is. It's like a Muppet. It's like the Muppet movie on acid.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of it.
The Muppet movie on acid?
Yeah, no, Meet the Feebles. Have you seen that, Bill?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, you've seen it. It's classic. But this is a good ad. I can't believe it's got a nice size ad in London.
Yeah.
Well, look at all the critical praise.
A lot of buzz behind it. Yeah. I like that they got the New Zealand Film Commission because they put up so much money for it.
At least they probably didn't bitch as much as the Canadian Film Development Corporation. talked about Cronenberg on the floor of the Canadian Parliament after he made Shivers.
Oh yeah, they were furious.
Oh, they were furious. Oh man. I don't know. Vince says Meet the Feebles is the weak link. No, disagree. Vince, love you, man, but no, Feebles is my favorite. And here, of course, is the Beyond.
Yeah.
Right?
Somewhat of the Beyond.
Yeah, most of it.
Most of it, right.
I don't know. I think it's interesting to see. I would like to see this cut of the film. Like, what did they take? I've only seen the unedited version.
Oh, I've seen this cut. I saw this in the theater. I saw this at the Budco Goldman in Philadelphia. And it's shorter. And I'm thinking they changed a lot of the music cues. I don't know. You'd have to almost. There used to be a website. I don't know if it's still out there, where they have the versions side by side with the time code. Like, here is the
movie
R-rated
censorship
version. Yeah, movie censorship. Thanks, Bill. Moviecensorship.com. And they should put that on there, because that would be interesting. That's not my favorite. We've talked about this before, but I think actually House by the Cemetery is more entertaining than this one.
It's like trying to pick your favorite child for me. I really do.
Yeah, it is, but the Fulci, what we would call the zombie trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm also easier on Fulci than probably any director. Even his ones that people hate, I love. So I'm completely completely non-objective about Fulci. It's hard.
It says this is in Dolby Stereo. I'm wondering if when I saw it I think it was in Dolby Stereo too, because it has a great Goblin soundtrack.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is a fantastic soundtrack.
That's it. Oh wow, William Gerder. Man.
Oh, 3 on a Meat Hook.
These are some blasts from the past that I'm pulling up now. These obviously are not from London.
Yeah, this is a beautiful ad. That 3 curving around so good.
Look on the far right. It says next Watt Stacks.
Yeah.
Wow. Where's this from, Bill? This theater? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah, I didn't look at it when I pulled it up.
Excuse me.
Yeah, Girdler.
Yeah. Another guy taken way too early.
Yeah, way too early.
Who knows what else he would have gone on to?
What was he killed in, like a helicopter accident?
Yeah, scouting locations.
Oh, here's an oldie but goodie from TV.
Oh man.
This is just a glitch that was in the archive, the online archive, but I thought it was kind of cool. Like that striped effect.
Yeah.
This was a movie this was kind of the holy grail for me, those Monster Rally films, because they were the most difficult to find in reruns for me. They didn't do it very often. And I remember I think the first time I saw Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman was on Chiller Theater.
Yeah, Chili Billy showed this one.
But this really is one of my favorites out of all the Universal monster movies.
Oh yeah,
Frankenstein Meets the. Really, you agree?
Yeah, because think about it. This is the first time they did what we see today, which is you basically have a crossover of 2 horror franchises, Frankenstein and the Wolfman. And then they of course had House of Frankenstein, House of Dracula.
I actually really like Bride a lot, and what's the second one? House of Frankenstein? Is that the third one?
The third one, Son of Frankenstein.
Son of Frankenstein. I really like that one a lot.
I do too. All 3 of them are great. Bride's my favorite.
What about Ghost?
In my top 5 horror
Bride's
films.
the rare. I know people are like, the sequels are never as good. I really think Bride is somewhat better.
Oh, it's a lot better.
Yeah. Not that Frankenstein's a bad movie.
No.
But yeah, it's really good.
It has a real modern feel to it. It's funny too. It has some good jokes in it.
It's funny because I've held off doing Universal stuff on the site because so many people have talked about them, but I probably should get into them. I could do some of the other ones like Spider Lady and ones that people haven't seen too.
Oh, do the
Why don't you?
The Lon Chaney Jr. Inner Sanctum series.
I just got the box set, so I've been playing.
Read your mind there, my friend.
Yeah,
those are interesting movies.
Yeah, I love Inner Sanctum, the show.
Yeah, I do too. They're kind of unknown. I mean, they played on Chiller Theater back in the day, but today nobody talks about them. Okay, we got.
So I love the handwritten part of this sign.
Yeah,
I mean,
look at this one. 4 fiendish features. They got.
You
the
won't be
spelling
scared
there.
by the same thing twice. That's an odd claim to make.
Yeah, horrors of Dracula. Yeah, okay. House of Usher. Pyro. That's another Chiller Theater favorite.
I don't remember that movie.
Yeah, it's not really a horror film. It's more of a drama. It's made in Sweden, where
Hmm.
this guy gets his face burned up. And
well,
anyway, yeah.
I mean, I've
Yeah.
seen ads for it. The face is actually pretty gruesome. They have it in.
Oh yeah, the burn makeup is pretty effective.
They sell it he looks kind of like Dr. Freudstein.
Mm.
oh, Dr. Freudstein.
House by the Cemetery.
There we go.
Yeah.
What else we have? Oh, Seven Doors. There we are.
So coming
So-
up on the site this week, more New World stuff for the rest of the month. And in April, if anyone wants to write for the site, I know EC said he's going to write something. There's a different
Mhm.
theme every day, so I'm super excited for a whole bunch of different themes. And I'm already planned out to like June of what's going to be on, but I'm gradually watching the stuff as it happens. So lots of cool stuff coming up this week. Learning a lot about movies that Corman bought and did, that you wouldn't expect. Like Darktown Strutters, which is a movie that he got into theaters, which is a wild movie. And
Yeah.
Supervan, Nashville Girl, Great Texas Dynamite Chase.
Nashville Girl. Wow.
Yeah,
Nashville
Nashville
Girl's-
Girl's-
Gus Triconis directed that. The guy who did
Yes.
The Evil. Good director. He was married to Goldie Hawn for a while.
I was just gonna say Goldie Hawn's ex-husband.
Yeah, he's a good director.
He is a great drive-in director because he knows exactly what you're showing up to see and
Yep.
delivers it. And that's I really dig him. So that'll be through this week. And hey, I didn't get anything in the mail this week. I felt like I failed myself as a film lover.
I
not
was
buying or,
waiting for
getting it.
your reveal.
Yeah.
Well, I brought some stuff for the third segment.
Yeah,
if you
that's
guys
so. I'm
indul-
glad that you
Yeah.
did.
Indulge me here. We were talking about famous monsters of Filmland magazine in segment 1. And I actually dug up, I have the very first issue of this I got. I would have been 11 years old. It's from March of 1972. So it's like this month, 51 years old. And as you can see, it's got Dracula versus Frankenstein.
You actually
Sam?
bought this issue at the newsstand that you're holding.
Yes, I did.
Wow.
I bought this at the newsstand in my town. There's Xander Vorkov, or what's his real name? Roger Engels. And he was, Al Adamson's stockbroker or something. So I got that one. And then from the next year, for you, Bill, because I know you love this, and Sam, you guys ran this on the show. This is from July of 1972, and it's the infamous Frogs.
Man, I think that's the first thing I drew for Driving Us Home. I did a frog cover for Bill.
Look
Back
at that.
in 3, I think.
Yeah, so these are great. Now, unfortunately, as I said, they're not in pristine shape. They're in my garage for years. Oh, by the way, let's see. I'll open up this one just for fun and see what we have in it, because there's all kind of fun stuff. Oh, what do we got here? Oh, here we go. That's an article on Tales from the Crypt.
Oh, it's giving me a chill.
Yeah, which was out in '72, and let's see what else.
You know,
we
Bill,
got.
I played my old band played a show with the band, and the other band's lead singer had a jacket that had the skull from Tales from the Crypt on. And I said, "Oh, do you love that movie too?" He goes, "I don't know where the skull's from." I said,
He doesn't say he didn't know. And then, of course, we have Count Yorga.
"Yes."
If I can show it.
The
There.
Yorga Arrow set, by the way, if anyone hasn't got it yet, is gorgeous, and I definitely recommend it.
I love those movies. And then my last item of bragging rights. My kids got this for me for Christmas, which this is a framed mat of a fictitious horror film. If I can pull it up. It's Yinzilla. So it's your Yinzer Godzilla. And I'll read it. It says here, 3 rivers collide, one monster rises. No bridges can save you, no steel will protect you. Can you stand the terror of Yenzilla?
They didn't mention Permane Brothers?
What's that?
They didn't mention Permane Brothers?
No, they should have. They should have mentioned Permane's, but got to put that up in my office. But so there you have it. Monster magazines way back from the day. This is how we got our news.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't have the internet and all that. I mean, you had to read this.
And
look at
notes
look
from
at
Fangoria of what to look for.
Yeah, look at the back here, just what you could buy. These were the comic books, Vault of Horror, Tales from the Crypt. I mean, amazing. And the comic books were how much back then?
Not that much.
No, they were not, but these were the collections.
Yeah, I had my uncle had the collections, and I devoured them, especially the Shock Suspense.
Okay, and here we go. Here we have 8mm movie digest for Batman.
All that Captain Company stuff, right?
Yeah, it's all Captain Company stuff.
Yeah.
And I spent my allowance on that, my money.
I ordered stuff from there.
Yeah, they're really great. And of course, these things aren't worth anything anymore because everything's digital. And I'm pretty sure you can probably look at a lot of these back issues of like Famous Monsters of Filmland and Castle Frankenstein. I know one I don't have an example of was the newspaper called The Monster Times. And that initially came out once every 2 weeks in the early 70s, like 72. And there was some good writing in that one too. Famous Monsters had the kind of more juvenile approach. I think you guys would agree with me. Castle of Frankenstein was higher level.
I went to that Steel City Galleries last week, and they had a whole run of Monster Times for about $10.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, and they were really nice big.
Yeah, somebody has digitized those, and there's actually a Facebook group that I belong to, and they have all the old issues. They actually, in one of the really early issues, it might have been number 7 or something from 1972, they had capsule reviews and ratings of all Hammer films up to that date.
How did you like? And Tarantino reprinted a bunch of Castle of Frankenstein in his book near the end. There's like a whole article copied about Bela Lugosi in there about Bela Lugosi's addiction issues.
Oh, I loved Cinema Speculations. I read it. I thought it was
amazing.
Terrific. Right? Yeah, and his podcast with Roger Avery is excellent also, for anybody who hasn't caught it yet. And John says, I took my copy with the green slime cover to the first screening in my hometown. The other kids were suitably impressed. Yeah, I never saw that in its initial run, but you can't forget the TV spot. The green slime. Rated G.
I was really disappointed with the green slime because I was a big fan of the Blob, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a Blob movie, except it's green, and it wasn't.
Hardly.
There were like kaiju.
Yeah. The music's great. Now that song's great. You got to give it that.
Right? The theme song is great. And again, we were talking here about big studio like MGM because that was released in the U.S. and they paid money. They were like a co-producer with Toho of that. MGM did Super Beast and Daughters of Satan, that double feature that we mentioned. And Super Beast was written by one of the guys who did our first movie, Death Moon. I find that amazing that back in the 70s, a huge studio like MGM would try to compete with guys like Roger Corman or AIP.
They were putting out Canon stuff for up until Bolero.
Yeah.
They were distributing it, and that's the movie. It's funny because that's the movie they're like, no, this one was too hard. And then Missing in Action came out right after that, and that kept Canon in business. Like if MGM had got that money, it would have been much different for them.
Yeah, John says he has Monster Times he got at a local newsstand. He has them all. Offers accepted. The trouble is they were on really cheap newsprint. And unless you've preserved them like an archival newspaper deal.
Yeah, those Famous Monsters and even the Fangorias that I bought, like I beat the shit out of them because I read them all the time. But especially the Famous Monsters, like the cover always fell off. And
did you guys ever read the earliest fanzines like Little Shop of Horrors and Photon?
No.
Oh yeah, Photon was done by the guy from Baltimore. There's another guy. The guy Don Doler actually had a fanzine.
Yeah, Don Doler had a couple different zines. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other fanzine that I read all the time was the guy, Richard Clemenson, I think he's from Kansas. He had the all Hammer, all British horror one, Little Shop of Horrors. And boy, there's some really good writing in there and good research if you can find them.
George Stover sent me a whole bunch of issues of Black Oracle.
That's the one I'm thinking of. That's
it was a teeny tiny little thing.
Smaller than Drive-In Asylum.
Yes.
No, that's the one I was thinking of, not Photon. Photon was good. Photon was really slick. Photon had photos and stuff, but Black Oracle was from Baltimore.
He sent me those. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, thank you for sending me these, because they sell for a pretty decent amount on eBay. But
yeah,
I just couldn't believe it. You need a magnifying glass to even read it, especially at age 53. And I can't imagine what it would be like to actually produce something like that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there were guys. It's great. I mean, Bill, you're carrying on a tradition here, a long-standing good tradition of fanzines and keeping these movies alive and doing scholarly work sort of under the radar. You know, I have to say this, and I'm not just blowing smoke tonight, but I look at the Rondo Awards and I'm thinking, where's Drive-In Asylum on there? We got to get you nominated. Got to get your website nominated. Yeah. I mean, the stuff on there is good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, but anyway, yeah. John says they yellow along the fold. Oh, well, good. What am I bid? I don't know. You know, I talked to a guy at a convention many years ago about selling my collection, and he basically said they're worth like $2 each. So I don't know. There weren't that many issues. So your collection, unfortunately, John, unless things have changed, is probably worth $50. Because I don't know how many issues they had. They went bankrupt pretty fast. Yeah, 1 to 2. Fango shows $1 to $2 back in the day. Yeah.
I think about that sometimes, like, you know, what if the Rondos, it just seems to me like sort of it's a club.
Well, of course it's a club.
You know, it's like, oh, you're an actual legitimate content provider. And, you know, on the one hand, you're right. It's because this is sort of like a pure kind of fandom that we're doing, especially with Drive-In Asylum. And it's just sort of like, you know, it's more about the films and people's affection for the films than anything else.
Yeah, I'm going to watch 10 movies a day or 5 movies a day, regardless of if I didn't have
I know you will.
The site just like helps me to feel like it's worthwhile endeavor instead of it's just me in the basement watching these movies.
It is worthwhile. I mean, look, these episodes are collected up on YouTube for future people to look at and study and
study. What not to do.
Well, no.
Don't
I mean,
get
come
drunk
on.
It was
and
fun
go on,
actually coming back from the show, listening to you guys. I'm like, oh, that's to get the experience of what it's like to listen, and that was really fun. So
yeah, but no, yeah, it's been great, and it's always fun to come out and join you too, and share our knowledge and look at all the chats and all the great people out there. Because you know, there's no bickering, there's no fighting. I mean, it literally is a safe space for everybody who likes these movies. Yeah.
Yeah. You noticed that too, Nora.
Yeah, it is.
That's why I say it's a club. And
no, it is a club. It is a club. Like anything, the Oscars are a club, the Golden Globes are a club, I know. But
yeah.
And I mean, what would it be like to be acknowledged by the Rondos? You know, it would be great because it would raise the visibility of what we're doing.
Right. You could sell more magazines, Bill.
It's not about selling it. I just want to, like, you know, I don't make money on Drive-In Asylum, but I would like to increase
a labor
our
of
readership.
love.
I will tell you, sometimes when you get a weird mention, I got one tonight. Like so many times, I'd say 90% of the email I get, I send it to Bill, the shittiest emails. It's like you have a lot of it's like typos or people saying you don't know things, and it's like, fine, okay, that's cool. But I got a really cool letter tonight. There's a documentary from North Carolina called 1,000 Points of Light that I'm obsessed by. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it.
No.
It's a Halloween. It's a Christmas movie about these people that decorate their house for Christmas, half Elvis and half just millions of lights, and let people travel.
Oh no, I have seen this. I have seen this. Yeah. Okay.
It's one of the it's an obsessing documentary. Beck and I watch it every year, maybe 3 or 4 times during Christmas, because it's amazing. Like everybody smokes in it. There's like some crazy dialogue. It's really great. And the daughter who in the movie is a baby emailed me and said, "Hey, my family was never really kicked out of Atlanta. Here's what happened." And she like told me the whole thing. She's like, "I'm so glad that people still talk about my grandmother. She was an awesome lady." And I was like, "Wow, like that's really crazy." And I got another letter today from somebody that was actually in one of the movies, a shot on video movie, and they said every review I've ever read like shits all over this movie and says how bad it is. And like it's so nice that somebody liked it, and like you know, thanks for enjoying the movie. But like to get like those kind of letters from people that, and you know, George from Deathbed was a major one, George Barry.
Oh,
You know, that he's reached out to me to start. So it's like those like things happening is like kind of why I do it, because it's like, wow, how would I ever, if I had taken the time to write this stuff and share it, get a chance to talk to him and meet him and learn so much about it. And that's what I'm in it for, is like like you said, is that scholarly pursuit, but also like I have a million questions about these movies, and to get to ask them, you know, that means so much to me.
Yeah, there has to be some sort of reason that you're doing it, because you could just get their phone number and call them up and talk to them. But I don't know. I like to document it. I like to get it written down. The fact that it appears in a fanzine, I don't care how many people read the fanzine, but you know, that's what makes it real to me, is to be able to put it out
it's
there.
tangible. It's for the, as I said, for the next generation or whenever, when we're not around, and you know, somebody here 50 years from now looks back and said, "Wow, that fanzine, that website, those guys were really on the ball. Look at this."
Yeah.
You know?
I just would be happy that people are even interested in the films. You know, that's
Well, that's
Oh,
like
yeah.
how Joe, who was on our show a couple weeks ago, I met him because I liked his shot on video stuff, and you know, now he's been on the show, and we've like, you know, got to talk about stuff. And like Scooter McCrae, who did, you know, Shatterdead, and got to talk to him, and I got to ask, like, we did like 3 weeks of back and forth emails, and I asked him like every question I have about that movie. That's an awesome opportunity. Like that's the coolest thing to me. Is like, and that's why that's why I've been really into Tarantino's podcast, because it's like hearing someone. I know a lot of people have different opinions about him. I think he's the best director in the world right now, or in the U.S. right now. And to hear him talk about older movies and why they matter to him, and also often genre movies. He loved Demonoid maybe even more than me, which I don't know.
Yes, he did.
And it's like to hear that and hear someone's enthusiasm in the same way what we do for it, makes me feel good.
It does. Back in the day when I was a moderator on a board on CompuServe, I corresponded a lot with Roger Avery. And Roger is extremely knowledgeable about movies too. He had kind of a bad stretch in his life there. He like killed his best friend in a homicide by vehicle accident and did some time. But he and Tarantino, it's nice to see them together, reliving the days of Video Archives, the store where they worked, and wrote Pulp Fiction together. And they talk about great movies too. They're always dropping great movies. Like their Giallo episodes were terrific.
Oh yeah,
they talked about Eyes of Laura Mars.
Yeah, and I agree with him. Like I liked how he talked about how this movie could be better, and like, and how the ending could be different, and the bullshit science of Laura Mars.
Yeah, bullshit science, exactly. But yeah, the Giallo stuff was good, and they picked strange stuff, weird. You never know what they're going to pick next. Like,
yeah, and that's what I love. And it's like kind of, I also realize a major blind spot for me within his books is 70s, like mainstream cinema, like Dirty Harry and Bullet and stuff like that. I just have never watched those. So it's made me want to watch those movies and explore them and like see more of the stuff that came out then. Because if you see those movies now are so far out of mainstream and in another world, you know what I mean? Like they're totally different.
Well, you know, Steve McQueen wears a turtleneck better than anybody I've ever seen in Bullet. And he is like the coolest actor. And you can easily see why Tarantino wrote so much in Cinema Speculations about Bullet and Steve McQueen. And he's awesome. But yeah, they're fun. Those podcasts are great.
Yeah.
A lot of good work out there. But
why has nobody asked me about my T-shirt yet?
Let's talk about your T-shirt.
Return.
Yeah, we want to talk. We talked during the break. There you go. Look at that T-shirt, folks.
And you know what movie this really is? Look at the tagline.
Oh, I know what it is, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody.
I won't either.
Oh, so you both already know.
I know. I know what it is. Yes.
Of course.
Do you want me to say, or do you want to see who can guess?
Well, you tell people what this is.
It's Messiah of Evil. Yeah.
Yes.
Mike Justice knows.
Yeah, Mike got it. Yeah, Messiah of Evil, exactly.
Yeah.
Boy, that's a DIA favorite for sure.
100%. Yeah.
Of course.
That movie is like a lucky accident because, as you guys have mentioned many times, Sam and Bill, that they didn't have the money to do what they wanted to do with the film, and yet somehow, like magic, it turned out great. It's a little gem.
Yeah. It's better for its ragged nature than I think even if it was finished and if it had a bigger budget.
Yeah, because then it would be too slick. Actually, it's there are a bunch of them like that. I mean, if we Sam, make a letterbox list. Here we go. I'm going to quote some that look good because they're ragged from that era. Lamora, Malatestis, Malatestis Carnival of Blood.
Yes.
Messiah of Evil. Blood and Lace. Movies, anything by Brownrigg. Bill, because I'm with you on that one. Because Bill and I had a discussion once about whether I considered S.F. Brownrigg to be an auteur. And I say absolutely, because, he has a style. And you can see the style. If he had more money, I'm not sure his movies would be as interesting as they are.
No, I like that they're almost like filmed plays. They're very theatrical to me, and that's what I really like about him. I think Terror House is kind of close.
Terror House is in that too. Another movie that sits in its own universe in its low budget nature and really works. God, we could sit here all night and probably name any.
Well, in the same way, it's like, there's a lot of Tobe Hooper movies I like, but Chainsaw is lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Of putting people through hell for long enough and you get something great out of it. That said, Tarantino talks about the Funhouse in his book, and I think Funhouse is really good.
He loves the Funhouse.
Yeah, I love it, and I've gone on record, Eaten Alive is great too, and it's such a schizophrenic, weird not shot outside. You know what I mean? Does John Starcher need money? By the way, he's really been selling his past and his memories in the chat. I don't know if he needs help.
He's selling it. Yeah, he's selling his soul to see London After Midnight. Yeah. Vince has also excellent choices: Cannibal Girls, Creature from Black Lake, and our favorite, Horror High.
Yeah.
Which Horror High is a special little movie because we all discovered it, I think, on late night TV on Chiller Theater when it was called.
It means a lot to us for that reason, at least
Twisted
for me.
Brain. And it's a good film. Boy, oh boy. Talk about a guy who was an industrial filmmaker that said, I'm going to make a horror film. And he got a playmate in it, and he got some football players, and he got a former child star. It's a nice little film. Yeah, those are all perfect choices, Vince.
Yeah.
Touch of Satan, Mike Justice has. That's another good one.
Oh, a.k.a. Night of the Demon.
Night of the Demon.
A.k.a. A Touch of Melissa.
I know it is.
That's a great title.
Yeah.
There's another title, too, that escapes me right now. It was another obscure retitling, and it turned out to be this movie. Dastardly doings, you film distributors of the 1970s.
That's what makes it fun, though. You never knew whether you're going to see a movie that you'd previously seen, like last year when you go into the Grindhouse and somebody's gotten a hold of a print and they've retitled it.
Yeah.
AC Nicholas, thank you so much for doing the program with us tonight.
As always, I'm in your debt. You guys are the best. And
next week we'll be back with some Death Dream. Starts at 11 o'clock next week. Only one movie.
Yeah. Because I got to work.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks to everybody for hanging out with us tonight. It was great to see everyone again. And we hope to come back next week.
Fourth time. We're gonna have to get you a jacket for the fifth timers club.
Yeah, next time you guys have me on.
I didn't know people were keeping track. This is great. All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Night,
Stay
night.
safe. Well, come back.
Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian. Under 17 not admitted without parents or guardian.